Everybody want to give a shout out where you're from?
Yes, please. Drop your location in the chat if you'd like.
Just give it a few more minutes and then we'll get started.
hmm Hello, Brian. Shall we start, Victor?
Yeah, let's go ahead and kick it off.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Sarah Warsey, and I am the marketing manager here at Sentia. Before we get started, just a friendly reminder that all attendees are automatically muted. However, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we will address them at the end. So, we've already seen a shift over the last few years with many organizations modernizing their collaboration tools through platforms like Microsoft Teams. But one area that often gets left behind is voice. So, in many cases, voice technology is tied to old hardware, and operating models just aren't built for today's pace, which can lead to higher costs, security concerns, etc. So, today we're going to talk about what modern telephony really looks like now, why it's become a strategic issue, and how companies are simplifying voice with cloud based solutions. And here to take us through that is our very own Microsoft practice lead, Victor Yosevich. So, Victor, thank you for having us.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
yep, if you can go up one slide, I'm just going to give a quick overview of Sentia before we continue. Thank you very much.
hmm
So, for those on the call that may not be familiar with us, a quick overview of who we are and what we do. So, Sentia is a Canadian based IT solutions provider. We are headquartered in Richmond Hill with almost 20 years of IT services and solutions experience. And we also have a very strong international presence. Our strength lies in our people with a broadly skilled team of over 35 professionals, including 24 specialists. And we deliver all kinds of high value solutions ranging from managed IT to cybersecurity, hybrid cloud, and AI. And we also have a unique ability to design, architect, deploy, and manage the solutions that we offer. And essentially, we take a customer first approach and we act as an extension of your team. So that's who we are in a nutshell. And with that said and done, over to Victor to kick it off.
Hey, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great afternoon. Um, Thanks to everyone for taking the time out to join us today. A little bit about myself. So I've been in the IT industry for about, well over 20 years now. Started really young and have just been made it my passion. Started with Microsoft. That was actually my first job out of the gate. Really fell in love with the technology, with everything they were doing, really dug in hard. From there, found that Microsoft was too siloed for my taste. I wanted to really be a master of everything, which made me branch out into consulting and working for various companies across North America, the Caribbean, and even some in Europe. So really, my experience is really encompassed all around the Microsoft stack, right? I really take a deep knowledge in everything from security to communication stack, which is your Teams, your Exchange, as well as O365, Azure, and now really into AI. And that's really where my expertise lie and where I like to play the most. That being said, we're going to get into why we're here today. So the main thing we're going to do is we really want to cover off Teams and VoIP in general and how we can really look at today's stack and how Microsoft will help you with modernizing communication, what the future of voice really looks like for not only your organization, but the world, the ROI, the proof of how it can help your organizations, how it's utilized, hidden costs of legacy systems, and how and where we managed voice fits in. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to Ashley for a quick poll.
Thanks, Victor. Just give me a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I think that is launching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you see that on your screen, please feel free to take part in the poll and hit submit. And then hit done right afterwards. Okay, we see a mixture of responses: reliability, cost, unpredictability, operational overhead. Okay.
All right. Poor integration. Yep. Reliability. Okay. So that pretty much covers it well, as expected.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing we've seen, and I think this is now a trend across that everyone has seen, is that after the events of COVID, communication has really fundamentally changed. And what I mean by that is prior to COVID, there was a lot of focus on in-office and stagnant workers, whereas that now is no longer the case. Where pre-COVID, we had a 40 to 50% range, we're now looking at 88% of enterprises operate in a hybrid model and use a fully distributed workforce. So hybrid work is no longer really just a pilot or a nice to have for companies, but it's really now a driver for a lot of companies and a lot of employees. A lot of employees kind of use it as well as a nice to have for the hiring agency. So it's here, it's here to stay, and that's really what we're seeing. And with that, we see 77% of customers expect to reach a human within 1 minute. Why does that matter? Well, a lot of legacy systems that have IVRs and so forth are really tied in with the constant press one for this option, press two for that option, and that brings on a lot of frustration. So with that, the IVR technology that's in today, be it voice and the routing trees, really matter. With all that put together, growth in the voice touching integrations, everything from your CRM, your ticketing, your AI and analytics, and even pager systems have really come a long way and really need to be integrated. And that's why we're looking at no longer just the standard solutions, but what the future of voice really looks like for most organizations. So there are some hidden costs of legacy voice systems. We have fragile hardware, everything from your PBXs, your SBCs, the gateways, everything that reaches the end of support / legacy systems that are hard to replace, that providers need to scour eBay for parts because they're no longer manufactured. Security blind spots, legacy SIP trunks, and unmanaged endpoints are really exposing signal and growing fraud in targets. Because right now, fraud and really bad actors have been on a massive rise. They're targeting the lowest hanging fruit, which is usually email and voice. So your voice lines. With that, we also have operational drag. Really, the time it takes to add numbers, move numbers, remove numbers, and really how we can quickly get up and running versus your today state. How fast can you bring up another site or another line? And a broken hybrid experience, which ties users to desk phones and offices and really environments where people are no longer just in one place, with poor integration with all your systems and compliance exposure, which is becoming more and more seen in the industry due to the change in the security landscape. So why modern voice is now a strategic priority is, of course, because we want to make sure that every call is a moment where the user and even intercompany have a good experience with quality, speed, context, and really that's what sets apart not only the customer interaction, but intercompany communication as well. And security can't stop at email. We're seeing a lot of attempts to penetrate companies not only through email itself, but as well through voice. And being able to manipulate a company is usually the number one attack vector as opposed to the technology, because the human factor is a lot easier to compromise than technology is. AI is the new voice native initiative. Um, Everything from transcription, summarization, intent detection, and all that starts with clean voice data, and more importantly, a clear signal so that you can get the most out of your call experience. And of course, what we see now is hybrid workflow. That's kind of the new standard. So whether your users are at the office, they're mobile, using mobile devices, or at home, they need to be able to have not only access to their communication stack, but guaranteed quality and all the tools you would have with a seamless experience, whether they're on their PC, on their mobile device, or on a tablet. So what does a future-ready voice solution look like? Well, first and foremost, it has to be cloud-ready and high performance. We need to provide carrier-grade voice that's able to deliver at the scale of a SaaS or software-like solution, rather than hardware, which needs to be spun up and integrated with carriers where we need to order more numbers, which gives you a delay in acquiring those DIDs or the phone numbers. It has to have a security first by design. So hardening the signal, making sure that whoever is using the system is properly identified. Fraud controls are in place to make sure that nobody is able to hide numbers or forge numbers or be able to kind of mask where they're calling from. Simplified management. This is a big one that a lot of people always ask about. We need a single pane of glass, a centralized system where you're able to service not only quickly, but efficiently. And that's kind of the key to ensure that when new people come on or we have to swap numbers, that everything is done in an efficient and easy single pane of glass experience. And more importantly, seamless collaboration. In today's world, we have a ton of tools. Every organization has tools that integrate with each other. Voice is no exception. Whether it's IM, whether it's voice calls, whether it's AI transcription, your tools need to integrate seamlessly or have plugins or have APIs that your team can use to integrate with your products. Now, the first pillar is the cloud approach and high performance. Like I said, future-ready voice is dependent on being able to be geo-redundant, being able to be accessed anywhere, to have a carrier-grade quality while removing the operational burden of owning all the iron or copper that runs it. One of the great things about Teams and Microsoft Teams solution is it has a 99.999 up rate. Now, it's not 99.99. Microsoft made sure to include the third nine because that's how dependable their solution is. And what that means is that Microsoft has not only targeted but achieved a downtime of 5 minutes per year. And basically anything less is not carrier grade considered in Microsoft's eyes. So the team solution does make sure that it's geo-redundant, the voice infrastructure with automatic failover and shifting. We have SLA-backed call quality and best effort over the top, elastic capacity for seasonal demand and acquisitions. And what that means is if you spin up another office, you're not looking at months or weeks to get the service. You're looking at a matter of hours. Real-time observation into all call legs and data, and of course, predictable per seat economics, which are able to provide you the CapEx refresh on cycles. Our second pillar, one of the most important that's coming up in today's day and age, is of course the security first design, right? What we're defending against is everything from toll fraud, meaning automated international rate abuse or exposed SIP, vanishing or spoofing. Big one, social engineering via fake caller IDs or AI voice. That one's on a huge rise. DDoSing against signaling. So other factor that a lot of competition is now doing is DDoSing against companies, which is forcing the company to have an outage. Eavesdropping of unencrypted media or man-in-the-middle attacks between the endpoints and the edge. And of course, shadow endpoints, meaning unmanaged soft clients, which are bypassing policy. This one's very big for breaking two-factor authentication, by the way, where the bad actor will use a shadow endpoint to try and crack into your organization. So with modern solutions in place, what we look at, of course, the Microsoft solution does include is encrypted signaling. We want to make sure that everything has TLS. On the Microsoft side, for example, we use SRTP, which is a form of encrypted media that's end-to-end, identity-based call authentication, so the STIR or the shaken as we call it, continuous fraud analytics and automatic rate limits, so ensuring that nobody gives you a reverse toll call, session border hardening against DDoS, and of course, centrally managed endpoints with MFA and policies to ensure that nobody's able to really penetrate that endpoint and ensure that your users are kept safe, along with recording, retention, and basically aligning with all the regulations that you may have to adhere to. Pillar 3 is something that all IT companies and really all companies are looking for, and that's a simplified management, an easy to use interface, and more importantly, a broader way of being able to manage everything efficiently without losing time, or as I like to say, gray hair, right? So legacy systems are very usually complex and inherent. Tickets and vendors for every move, add, and change. You know, if you want to add another number, you need to reach out to your carrier. The carrier needs to then get you the number. Then you have to assign the number, plug in the number. There's a lot involved with it. You have 3 separate portals for voice, numbers, and devices. Again, not very efficient if you don't have a single pane of glass. Outage detection relies on the end user reports. There's nothing really in the system that's proactive. And really no consent on inventory of user number DIDs. Reporting is all done manually. Change windows, weekends, surprise builds for number porting. All of it in the previous time was just a mess, and it's still a mess when you're using the traditional VoIP systems or PBX systems. With the modern controls, we want to be able to make sure that you have full self-service ability to do changes and even spin up entire divisions in minutes, if not an hour. Single pane of glass for numbers, users, and policies, so you're able to correlate everything clearly, cleanly, and of course, proactive monitoring with SLAs and health dashboards, so you can see where your calls are failing, why they're failing, and what's going on. Especially with the use of mobile devices, this one is huge because where a lot of companies are seeing a trend is everyone's using their mobile device. And then when there's bad call quality or anything, we're able to determine that, hey, yeah, that was bad because you're using your mobile device. AKA, maybe we need a larger plan, or we need to adjust the device or headset you're using, get you better earphones. Could be a number of reasons. Automated inventory at an API scalable source of truth, meaning that We're able to see what devices are on and who's on them, predictable per-seat billing with usage transparency. Again, you're not going to get surprise bills. You're going to be able to plan out your budget for the year, for the 3-year, and more importantly, the 5-year, and run an ROI to prove exactly how this is helping without having to refresh any hardware, of course. Which brings us into our fourth pillar, which is seamless collaboration. So collaboration is now the key of every organization. What we're seeing more and more is that the tool that companies use to collaborate are becoming secondary importance to email. That means when a company is collaborating and when a company is working effectively, they're not only relying on email for all communication, but they're more relying on Teams than email. Being able to natively call from the same client, users are able to rely on it for chat meetings. We can run Operator Connect, direct routing, Teams phone models. Everything is delivered with right controls, with the right integrations, and with the right technology in place. And what that means for you is that whether you need to use a walkie-talkie function, which you can do in Teams natively, or you just want to send out a quick message, or even call long distance without using long distance Teams to Teams, you have the full stack available. Contact center. So a lot of companies are using contact center, and really that is a heart of a call center or certain companies. So we are unified with contact center. We want to make sure that we integrate, we're able to bridge agents, we're able to utilize the technology stack and ensure that workers are knowledgeable, they're present, and everything that requires for the user, for the agent to see who's calling, notes and so forth is all integrated. And open APIs, so anything that may not be native to Teams, most companies will ask for APIs. Microsoft's no different. There is an open stack of APIs that can be used as webhooks into CRMs, ticketing systems, AI agents, anything you kind of need or could think of can be done. So where managed voice really fits in is, or how we approach it, is really in this way. So usually the first stage, which is the first 3 months to 4 months, we usually like to do everything within a quarter, or the first phase is to run an inventory and see exactly where the numbers, users, sites, and integration sits. Then we want to quantify the spend, the risk, the endpoint support exposure. Of course, secure our quick wins, low-hanging fruit, and ensure that everything is done when it comes to looking at your roadmap and creating those gaps to be filled and so forth. Define the target operating model and success matrix, which brings us into our second phase, which is the migration phase, where we like to pilot out either a region or business unit. We want to onboard the teams / cloud voice with control, and of course, integrate with all your internal apps so that when we do a cutover, it's staged waves with rollback plans, and we ensure that when a broader migration goes out, we, of course, are not affecting the company negatively, but only giving positive value. Which brings us into our last stage, which is usually the run and optimize. So at this point, managed voice, we're doing proactive monitoring, 24/7 support. We're ensuring that everything is running properly. Continuous security compliance posture. We add AI assist, analytics, and advanced routing, whatever your company can get as an added bonus or make you more efficient and provide more ROI at the long run. And of course, quarterly business review tied to the outcome. So I'll give a business case where the value showed up. We have now a case, I'm not going to name names, but it was a 1,000-seat enterprise modernizing their voice over the past 2 years. The legacy on-prem was pretty extensive and it was costly. They were coming up to renewals, which would be even more costly. And when we looked at it, the modern cloud solution made a lot more sense because they were going to get a lot more bang for their buck. They're going to cut out divisions where they had to do operational support and they had outage windows and, more importantly, hardware maintenance, and not only the hardware, but the infrastructure for the hardware. So it was a costly upgrade. When we went to the modern cloud solution, we were able to really save them quite a bit of money and provide them a 30 to 40% lower run rate, because at the end of the day, all the factors that came in was really adding up. Productivity went up. Employees were saving 5 to 10 minutes per employee per day that were recovering from call friction and using your technology. They had faster resolution and context-aware transfers, fewer fraud events, and audit-ready compliance posture, which really helped. And of course, voice became the data source for analytics and automation. Then we have another one, which was the regional financial services. And that was a 1,400 user integration, 12 locations spanned in a regulatory industry with a lot of hybrid work. They had a lot of challenges with an aging PBX system at the end of the life, especially span across 12 sites and trying to keep everything integrated. Inconsistent call recording, retention for compliance. They had remote advisors on consumer soft phones with quality issues. Fraud attempts were just increasing with no real-time control. And really, there was a big push for CapEx-free voice model. So what we did is we assessed, we inventoried, ran a risk cost baseline within the 4 week, so within a month. We did the Teams phone with direct routing and hardening SBCs, compliant recording integration to achieve all their compliance needs, real-time fraud analytics, and of course, the managed services voice for monitoring and ensuring that everything's solid. The outcome was a 34% lower run rate. Again, under 5-minute downtime for days. It was very highly available, very zero fraud events, and more importantly, that 99.999 up rate. So why organizations choose us? Well, one of the reasons is we have very high voice technical skills. So myself, being the Microsoft practice lead coming from Microsoft, was actually one of the only people by Microsoft Canada that was deploying and doing voice for Skype for Business at a level 3, which is their highest for all of Canada. With my team, I do have ex-Microsoft guys that were in the same line with me. And really, that's one of the reasons why Sentia has such a deep specialization in voice and Teams. We're very vendor informed and outcome led. As Sarah mentioned at the beginning, we don't see customers as a customer. We see customers as our partners. The more we make you successful, the more we're successful. We want to make sure that the outcome is as pleasant as possible. We're not trying to nickel and dime. We want to make sure that everything is solid and everything is the right size, the right place, for the right purpose. Security never seems. Security is a huge for us area. We want to make sure that everything we put out is hardened and meets today's requirements, whether stated or not. We want to make sure that your company is protected at every corner, right? We don't want to make sure that we break anything compliance. More importantly, we want to make sure that you're secure past what is required by a basic level. We manage end to end. So our NOC is able to monitor everything 24/7, be able to address things so that we know the issues before your team does, and we can address them. And more importantly, proactively reach out and address issues before they become noise. Measurable value. We have clear KPIs from day one, your availability, MAC time, cost per seat, fraud events, user experience. We've got everything mapped out, and really partner you can talk to, right? So there's no tier 1 call center, direct access to engineers who are actually designing the environment, working with it. So you're not going to reach a help desk that's in another country. you're going to talk to us directly. And again, we are partner-driven, not client-driven. So where would your first move be in a modern voice roadmap? It's really the assessment phase. So a focused, low-risk engagement that gives you a definable plan in about 4 weeks. So what we'll do is as I mentioned, we'll come in, we'll discover, we'll kick off a stakeholder interview, inventory. We take inventory of the numbers, the users, the sites, the integration, the cost baseline. We'll analyze the risk, compliance, and experiences that you have to create a TCO model. And then we come back with a target architecture, a roadmap, and of course the business case to you so you can have that to take away. The key takeaways from that is you have a voice that is that's strategic again, able to adapt to your environment and your company. You have the lessened burden of legacy voice, which is really a cost. The worry of fragile hardware, which could kick over at any minute and leave you with an outage. You have a future-ready approach with our 4 pillars that we just talked about. We have the option to do it managed end-to-end to ensure that you have the fully managed solution, so you have nothing to worry about, or co-managed, up to you. And of course, everything really starts with the assessment. So if anyone's interested in anything we've talked about today, anything we've done, I'm always more than happy to book a discovery call with you, as well as request the slides, TCO framework from us, assessment sample report, whatever you're interested in, we're more than happy to accommodate. At this point, I'll be turning it over. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, thank you very much, Victor. That was great. Yes, so we would like to open up the floor for any questions that anyone may have. You can put it in the chat, or if you'd like to speak, we can unmute your mic, whatever you prefer. Just give that a few minutes. And of course, if nobody has any questions right now, as Victor just said, we can always continue the conversation offline.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm always more than happy.
Excellent. Let me just check this Q&A section really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we're good then. So thank you, Victor, very much. Really appreciate it. It was very, very insightful. And yes, we will be sending a copy of the presentation and the recording after the session, and we look forward to continuing the conversation. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks again for your time. Take care. Bye.